What's going on, everybody? Rob here at etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the etrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2018 Chevrolet Colorado. Now here's what our hitch is going to look like. I really like the matte black finish, not only because it helps hide dirt, scratches and everything, but it just kind of blends into the bottom and the black plastic that's already on our truck. Now the hitch is going to give us a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening, which is pretty common on trucks, but it is really going to open up the options when it comes to accessories that we can mount up. Obviously we can tow a trailer, put a ball mount in there, but you know, a lot of us like to go out, maybe take a bike ride. We could put a bike rack in there, bed extender if we need to carry some elongated gear, because you really can't get a Colorado with an 8-foot bed, so if you do have anything you need to carry, a bed extender comes in handy, makes it really easy to carry all that stuff. But regardless of what you're going to be using your hitch for, all of the accessories are going to mount in the hitch pin hole here on the side. Now the hitch is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. Now these aren't going to be included with the kit, but you can find them here at etrailer.com, along with some locking devices and anti-rattle devices to keep your accessories secure and quiet in the back of the receiver tube here. Now if you are towing a trailer, obviously you need a spot to hook your safety chains. And here we got a plate style welded to the bottom. You can see the opening's pretty large. You should have plenty of room to get most sides hooked on, take them off. Just keep in mind that front flange, if you have some smaller hooks, you can get them on, but they may not fully rotate and engage, so you may have to come from the side. But if you have some of those larger oversized hooks like this, so you have plenty of room to get them hooked on and take them off. Now again, hitches can be used for a wide variety of things, but making sure that it's going to be up to the task that we put it to is pretty important. So the weight ratings do come into play. Now our hitch is going to have an 800-pound tongue weight. It's the maximum downward pressure at the end of the receiver tube. It also has an 8,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's how much it can pull, but that does include the trailer and the load we have on it. Now it is designed to work with weight distribution systems as well. That's going to be a separate component that's mounted on your trailer. However, that's going to bump the tongue weight up to 1,000 pounds and the gross trailer weight rating up to 10,000 pounds. But keep in mind, that's our rating for our hitch. We do want to double check our Colorado's owner's manual and never exceed the manufacturer's rating. Now I'd like to give you a few measurements. These are going to help you whenever you're looking for accessories for your new hitch, whether that's a ball mount, a bike rack, or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the very most outer edge of the bumper is going to be right about 3.5 inches. Now that measurement's going to help you out when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough room to put them in the upright stored position and not make contact with the rear bumper. Now from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is right about 19.5 inches. Now that measurement is definitely going to help you out when you're looking for a ball mount so you can find the appropriate rise or drop to match up to your trailer. But now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's go ahead and go through the installation process together so you can have the confidence to do it at home. To begin our installation, we want to lower down our spares so we have a little bit more headroom. Then we're going to move underneath our Colorado, and right above where our spare was mounted, we're going to find this bracket. We need to pull that out. It'll be held on by 4 bolts here at this cross member, and then towards the back with an additional 2 bolts. So we're going to grab a 13mm socket and we're going to pull all 4 of those out. Once we have this out, we can set it aside because it's not going to get reinstalled. The next step is we need to remove this factory beam that's going across the bottom of the bumper, but it does share some of the same mounting holes and hardware as the bumper itself. So we want to support our bumper as well as making sure that it's not going to move around too much on us before we start pulling any hardware out. So I'm going to take a pole jack, since we're on a lift here. I'm going to come to each end of the bumper. I'm actually just going to raise it up just enough to where there's a little bit of tension. We don't want to be pushing up on it, but we want to keep it supported. Now if you're at home, obviously you're probably not using a lift, so you can use jack stands instead of a pole jack if you're on the ground. And again, just a little bit of pressure, making sure that it's not going to come down, just supporting it, and we're going to put another one on the other side. Now that our bumper is supported from coming down, I like to put another strap going from the back of the bumper, tying it to the front of our truck. That way there's a little bit more support and I don't have to worry about it moving around too much. There's a hole right here. I'm just going to use my cam buckle strap to hook it on there. I'll find a spot on the frame. I'm going to tighten it up to where there's just a little bit of tension. Again, pulling it towards the front. That way we have it supported vertically and we don't have to worry about it falling back. So I'm going to put another strap on the other side and then we can go over the hardware that we need to remove. Now on the bottom of the frame we're going to have 2 bolts. Those are going to be holding in that beam on the bottom. But if we look on the side, we're also going to have 2 more bolts that we're going to have to remove. So for the ones on the bottom, I'm going to take a long extension and a 21mm socket and pull those out. Now we're going to remove the 2 on the side as well as the 4 on the other side of the frame, and then we can remove the beam. Now one tip I will give you is once you go to loosen those side bolts, you want to put 1 bolt on the bottom back in very loosely, because once we take the side bolts out, there's not going to be anything holding this in place. So I have a couple bolts in the side. I'm going to remove them one at a time. That way I can carefully pull the beam out. Make sure you watch the wiring on the driver's side. Then we can pull the passenger side out. And very carefully lower the beam down. And again, try not to hit the bumper and cause any kind of movement. But again, we'll set this aside and we're not going to be reinstalling this. Now with the next set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch up. Our hitch is going to replace that beam and we need to put our side plates in between the frame and the bumper flange that's on the side. Once we get it up, we need to get the holes lined up with the factory holes, and then we're going to reuse the hardware. And you want to get at least 1 bolt back in place. We're just going to reuse all the factory hardware, going back to the factory locations. But you want to get 1 on each side so the hitch will support itself, and we can kind of maneuver everything to where we can get the bolts in place and start tightening them down. Once you get the bottom bolts in, you may have to snug those up just a bit and potentially play with the jack stand to get the side bolts to line back up. Then we can come back with that same 21mm socket and tighten up the bolts. And once you have all your hardware snugged down, you're going to want to come back with a torque wrench. And we're going to torque it all down to the specified amount in the instructions. You want to make sure you go back and repeat that for all your remaining hardware. Now that everything is torqued down, including the bumper, we can lower the jack stands, move them out of the way, and remove the support straps that we had on earlier. But now all we have left to do is put our spare tire back, and that'll finish up our installation and your look at the eTrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2018 Chevrolet Colorado.